Jace here, and today I'm going to be doing a session using a little bit of light orchestration to dress up one of the passages of this track that I'm working on, which is now 16 sessions in and still has a ways to go. This is actually what I call a done session. A done session doesn't mean, of course, that it is finished. Otherwise, I wouldn't be working on it. In the context of my production system, done delineates that I have made the decision to release the track or not. If I hadn't made that decision to release this track, then I would either be doing something, some other range of processes with it. But now that I've made that decision is done. This session now will be one of many which happen in succession to take me to the release finish line. This track right now as it exists has just some core principle ideas in it. It is not the complete picture of what it's going to be, and I'm just going to start it up, and you'll hear that. It's got some wings to grow and some leaves to grow on the tree. But let's see what some of these main ideas are. Let's get after it here. Let's get it rolling. Go ahead and all right, that's going to continue on. It's going to break away and it's going to come back for a really full-on kind of power ending of this thing. But we're going to talk about using some string staccatos, sections like an ostinato. You know, it's just some repetitions really to drive this section I'm on right now here. And this is a little. Right now, these are placeholders I'm using in here. We've got a little bit of, we're using some cinesamples right through here. And these are my choices, which are placeholder choices. So when I'm doing an orchestration and I'm concerned about moving forward in an arrangement, I'm going to placehold certain areas of that score where I know, yeah, I'm looking for the string orchestra to breathe here this way, or to punctuate this that way, or to do certain things. But I'm not going to get in knee deep to editing actually CC MIDI controls and everything right there at that point, because my concern is moving on to the next thing that is coming into my head that needs to happen one after another in succession. Then I'll come back over and do actually 2 to 3 editing passes on things where I spread out. So coming through this section, be a good spot to do some string repetitions through here. And I mean, so I'm going to go in, and how I would do this is, when I'm in my drafting phase, when I'm rolling through and creating tracks, I would grab myself Cinesamples ensemble articulations, because it's all there. We're not separated out into the separate groups: violins, 1, 2, violas, cello, double bass. They're all in this nice virtual instrument here, and all ranged out thanks to the makers of this instrument. And I'm going to play these in here the way I'm hearing them. Let me just back up here a little bit. Let's get a metronome. I'm going to turn it up so you can get, I don't want to jack the modulation up on that. I just want to turn up the gain so you can hear it a little more clearly. I know I can hear that here, but I'm doubting that's coming through the way I'm hearing it here. So let's do it again, please. And I thank you for your patience. I want to drop a change in there. Not a bad placeholder track. Now I would usually just leave that lay and keep on trucking. Let's take a closer look at what's going on in this and what Cinesamples can do, though. I'm gonna cross back over this again, and just let me go ahead and straighten up my workflow here to make this just a little bit easier for us to track through and understand. These guys in gray here, let's go ahead and ignore these for now and focus on the track that I just laid in, which is these Cinesample ensemble articulations right here. Okay, this is the MIDI track for that I just did. Okay, taking a closer look, that's what I laid in. And of course, when you look at the grid, you can see I'm a little ahead because I am physically making up for the life of the instrument, the action of the arm coming up, the bow coming down on the strings. There's a movement inside of there, and there's play inside of there. And, we have to offset when the note is actually sounding versus where it sits on the grid. So first thing I would do is, an N2, N3, N4, I would go ahead and quantize these to 8 notes. Okay. Now let's get into the solo world on this track and listen to what just took place there. Let's go ahead and make that go away. Okay. Now, under most circumstances, somewhere I find with Cinesamples and their articulations, when I go straight hard to grid, 100% quantization on grid, if I drop back between 40 and 50 milliseconds, that is the difference between a loose versus sharp hit in reference to where the beat is. So let's say, your beat is right here, and we're talking about dead on is here, and I'm backing up, I'm right on here. If I back up about 40 to 50 milliseconds, that's when I find myself pretty much dead on. So watch, let me show you. Let's go 40 milliseconds. 1, 2, 3, 4 for now. And if I wanted to, I could even drop back another 10 milliseconds. And that'd be really tight, maybe on the cusp. But I am going to go for 40 milliseconds right now because I'm not looking for that kind of tightness in this. This is a breathing kind of a staccato track. So that would be probably my second pass that I would do, coming back through the score again later on. Like, I said, I do this in stages. So I'm doing all those stages right now for you so you can kind of see how this works. So if I was in a hurry and I had to deliver something like mondo fast, I would do a humanization on this and cure up a little bit of the modulation, the intensity of the bowing and stuff like that. And I would move on. But now I've got a little more time to kind of get in here and really crack open what Cinesamples does for me. And this is about my relationship with Cinesamples. I'm sure some of other virtual orchestrators out there have a different experience, and I'd love to know theirs as well. A lot of people don't share their secrets. I'm not so scared. Okay. So the next thing I would do is I would look at the line. I would look at the notes that are actually being played. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Obviously, we've got 2 notes here. All right. Let's go ahead and assume that we would be using 2 sections of the orchestra here to play this. Violins 1 and violins 2. Now, I think sometimes a common mistake is in the pursuit for the biggest galactic sound people can get. They can say, well, I'm going to have violin 1s play this, 2-note motif right here, and I'm going to have violins 2 as well do the same thing, doubled over top of each other. More instruments playing means a bigger sound. That's not a page of the book that I like to do, because I think ultimately if the goal I'm searching for is expression and some depth in that expression, that just kind of hammers things a little bit. There's another route. And by the way, okay, there's no right way or wrong way to do these things. There's just ways. Some ways are more effective than other ways, depending upon where the ball lies on the shot, that you're taking here. So I'm going to designate that the upper notes are violin 1, and I'm going to designate that the lower notes are violin 2. Okay? Violin 1, and these guys would be violin 2 working together. Then I would take and separate those notes out, and I've already went ahead and done this just for the sake of time. These notes are as well backed up. They were perfectly dead on quantized to the 8th note and backed up 40 milliseconds. Their space where they live relative in time is the same. Okay? All I have done is I've taken the upper note, these ones that are illuminated, and separated them in a one after another fashion. So basically, this is the into down bow and up bow. Okay, this line here is the down is going to be this is going to be down bow. I have this backwards. Okay, let's go ahead and correct this. And I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm kind of new to this running 4 cameras at once in a studio thing. Down bow, up bow. Here we go. All right, take 2. So I would separate the uppermost line of my combined ensemble articulations, grabbing these guys, and separate those yet again into every other note. So the first of which would be the down bow, the second of which would be the up bow happening here. And then when I put them together, they look like this. All right, now why would I do that? moving them off of the same line lets me treat them like a down bow and an up bow. I can go ahead and treat them separately with a different take. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, part of a leap forward, I guess you could say, for me in catching realism with virtual orchestration was trying to think like what I see. When you study violinists playing, okay, and you actually pick up a violin and start to noodle around with it, and someone shows you, yeah, do this, hold it like that, do this with the bow. I'm a concert pianist. I'm not a violinist, orchestrator, and you watch the bow strike the strings. There is a bounce which is taking place up there. The bow is actually turning on the string. It's going like that as it's hitting the strings. Okay, it's not much of a movement. It's just down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You know. What I'm going to try to do is capture that in sound here a little bit. Okay, and the way to do that is to realize that down bow is going to have a little bit of a different flavor than up bow, and one of those flavors is strength. So how would I'm going to go ahead and say this too. I have taken and measured all velocities off equal. I should have said that earlier. I apologize. In Cinesamples, articulations is determined by velocity, the length of the articulation from a very short staccato all the way out to a very, what I like to call a full round sound, okay? And the higher you move up the velocity scale, the fuller it gets. The lower you go, the shorter it gets. So right now we're going to come in right in the middle on these and just pull them uniformly the same, almost to the point of being robotic. Okay, and then I would grab the modulation. Now in Cinesamples articulations, the impact level, the energy level, the pull versus touch is controlled by modulation. And I'm going to pick something in the middle here, right about so. Now these are the down bows. Then I'm going to move to up bow, and I'm going to do the same, but I'm going to pull it down a little bit. Now let's look at the difference between the two. Okay. Let's pull those down like that a little bit. All right, now let's listen to what happens when we do that. You hear that coming to life? Imagine the violinist moving. That's to the point where it's so dramatically different between them that it would almost be scored that way. You would want to probably reflect that in a score because that is having some effect in what's taking place out there. But you could also say, okay, well, wait a minute, Instead of, let's go ahead and switch back just to down bows on violin 1. You could say, well, I want the first one to be powerful, but I want the other three, in the measures to be a reasonable bit softer. Okay, so you would grab this and you would pull that down. And then you would say, you come back here and you would pull these down. So you can flavor these things. Yeah, see, that is portraying a more accurate position of what a violinist would be saying to an orchestra with the help of the first chair violinist saying, hey guys, and it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and... It'd be helping the orchestra keep time. Now you have to remember that, a violinist, they're really good at these particular things, especially Hollywood score things like that. They can get to the point where you can almost not hear the difference in the ta 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 ta. It's all in the wrists. It's all in the finesse of what they're doing there with the bow. But I'm doing this deliberately to give myself a little bit of energy moving through there. And then let's not forget our violin twos essentially are going to want to do the same thing. So, okay, let's take a look here. Violin 1's around 69 to 55, so we're going to say violin 2, the down bow notes. These down bow notes are happening at the same time. They are just different notes. And you can see the grayed out counterparts of the violin 1 line hanging out in there because I didn't actually delete them here. Note to self in the future, I may want to do that again. Let's go ahead and say around 60 here. Excuse me. Yeah, 60. And then let's go ahead on the up bow and say, let's say, like maybe a 50, 52. I would want the upper voice to come out just a little bit more on these. Here's our violins 2 line. Now let's put them together. I'm hearing in here. This would be a good place, okay, to go ahead and maneuver in some more of this flavorization. Ooh, flavoring of these notes. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a long day. Forgive me, please. I'm doing the best I can here. You know, to just kind of let these talk a little bit more. Okay. And I could bring that out more like that the whole way down. This is an experimentation to see if I'm getting a realistic line here. Let's go ahead and unsolo this now and place this into the context, and let's make sure we mute our very first placeholder violins. Remember, this whole thing started with just quickly laying in a track using the Articulations ensemble tracks, okay? Let me back up just a little bit more. You know, you can go in as deep as you want to go. I would probably continue that downbeat orientation on the modulation the whole way down the line here. And then, of course, before all was said and done, I would also address a couple of other things. And this is something now that gets a little less forgiving, I would say. So we want to be a little more careful here. Let's speak only to the up bows and down bows of violin 1 right now, and I want to move over now to velocities. Okay, as we said before, velocity in cinesamples controls the articulation, excuse me, the length of the articulation from a very short staccato to spiccato, and some sound in between there. So I'm going to go ahead and see what happens. Let's grab these first few. These are going to be downbeat oriented, beat 1 of each measure, and pull these up a little bit. Then let's take a look at these others and pull those down and watch what happens. Just want to make sure this is working. Yeah, color's acting a little strange. Okay, you heard that. Let me give that to you again. And that's why I said this is a little less forgiving. This is where I'm going to tell you a little dab will do you. Starting off with a good, realistic, quality choice of which articulation suits best you're gonna get the most mileage out of that here. I'm gonna pull these guys back down again because that's clearly a little much. But let's try another experiment. Let's pull those back down to something normal. Actually, I'll just do this. Okay. And then I'll just grab this, scale it down. And then let's look at just the up bows. Yeah, all of them. And really shorten those up. See what happens now. Now remember, the bow says it's dancing on the strings. Maybe that bow's getting a little bit less of a kiss than the down bow is, and that's most likely due to the physics of pushing up with your hand and reflecting off of a string to come back down on it again. Okay, just thinking out loud here. Just thinking out loud. Let's go ahead now and listen one more time. And by the way, these are placeholders. All these here. This is basically those were choices I made because in the keyboard lines here, I'm using our old friend contrary motion. The line is, the line is coming across and it's going that way pitch wise. One end's going up and the other end's going down. And when that happens, that's just screaming orchestration, Okay, what else can I tell you here? A couple more things. Microphone choices. Let's take a quick look here at what I'm using. Okay, this is going to be the down bow of our Violin 1 group right now. Now, I've had the privilege of working with a couple of mastering engineers for scores that shared information with me about things that they thought were more important than others, and basically when it comes to what the toolkit is of mixing and mastering engineers, what they use, and I do some of it myself, so I should say we use, is speed. Okay? Moving fast. Decisions are made very quickly. When you're talking about, in some cases, a score comes through the door and in 5 or 6 hours, a first taste of what that mix is going to do is already done. I'm talking about light speed here. The information in Cinesamples that is contained in the close mics is the most, I think, contextually rich and pinpoint accurate for what it provides to the sonic picture. Most mixing and mastering engineers, if they had one choice of violin that they were going to use, most likely, this is my personal experience, and again, I want to stress here, there is no magic way to do this. There's only ways. A lot of them are going to be using a close microphone position because of the sonic information that is contained in there. Well, why don't we do a little comparison? Let's go ahead and take a peek. Okay, I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to switch to room mic. Turn that off, and let's go ahead and pull up Violin 1 up bow. I'm going to go ahead and do this off screen. I'm just switching to the room mic, turning off the close mic. Violin 2. I am turning off the close mic, turning on the room mic, and finally, Violin 2 up bow, same And same, off, on. Listen to how the sonic footprint of this scene changes, and let's just listen to them soloed out. And actually, just to help you out with this, hang on here, bear with me. Violin 1 down bow. Since I'm doing these videos live, I apologize that I am not having this piecemeal together in a nice edit for you, and that may come down the road. I do value your time and consideration, but I have to value mine right now as well, because I just don't have a lot of time to be editing videos right now, and I plan on doing a lot of these. This one is only the first of many to come, so I ask for you to have a little patience with me as I figure out my ways through this, and I'm going to go ahead and reverse these now so that I can give you a clear kind of A-B back and forth between my logic behind logic for doing this. I'm just going to go off on, and I'm going to go off on backwards now. Okay, so let me explain to you what just happened there very quickly. We have this set of 4, which is going to be close mic'd. Okay, not spot, close. And this set of 4 that is going to be room. Now we can just quickly go back and forth between the two. Here we are with the close mic collection of violins 1 and 2, up bow and down bow. And now, vice versa, we are now listening to room mic positions. Same line, same instruments. Okay. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful sound. It's got its own world that it lives in. But they are two dramatically different worlds, aren't they? Now, of course, you can mix these together to your own delight. If I was in a hurry and I didn't have time, I would be going straight to the let's listen to them in context. I would be going straight to the close mics, because I can always add reverb, and again, they're what's carried inside of there, the sonic information poses a little bit less challenges mixing. So in context, close mic. Okay, and now compared to that same line using room mics. When it comes to warmth and clarity, close mics are definitely where I'm leaning in this particular application. There is no such thing as always or never. So yeah, then I would take, and now that I've made that demonstration, I'm just going to go ahead and delete these from the scene to avoid mass confusion. I'm going to just keep what I've got, and I would say that always it is critical, okay, to do a quick humanization, and you can use different types of humanization, but the one that I'm going to use right now, okay, is going to be note placement, the actual moment that the note strikes. And I find that 10 units on that can be very effective. So let me go ahead once again. I think I should have thought in advance and duplicate one more time. I should have just kept what I had. I know you're rolling your eyes at me right now. I can sense you. I'm sorry, guys. It's worth it. It's worth it. Trust me. Just to get a closer look here at what's happening with humanization. I think it's so critical. It's one of those things that can be the icing on a cake. Okay. Oops. Let's try that one more time. I'm missing something. Violin, 1 up bow, down bow, violin, 2 up bow. There we are. Get up there, you. Okay. 2, 3, 4, grab, copy, paste. Wow. Mouse is getting a little touchy. So this is the line, dead accurate. And then I'm going to go ahead and humanize this area right here. So basically what humanization does, it is going to take and it is going to add random differentiation inside of there. And it's going to add 10 units here of this, and I'm just going to hit select and operate. And just so you can see them move, let's go ahead and bring this up. And it moved them ever so slightly. Now it kicked them out of whack. Wait a minute, what did I do there? Hang on a second. Okay. I don't know why that's doing that. I don't know. I've been having a lot of problems here with this new update. I'm not trying to blame an update. So let me take a look. You know, I'm not going to mess with this right now. You know, and that's going to randomize notes. Anyway, I would humanize this to your delight to get the realism to happen inside of there. It sounds great as it is. And that is my line. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and don't be afraid to check back for gobs more of this stuff, because gosh knows there's going to be a lot more coming. And have fun orchestrating, making your music.